Hi guys, in this video we discuss the role of the Communist Party of India and the Gangadhar Adhikari report in giving birth to Pakistan. The reason for giving this lengthy background to the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019 is to underscore a simple point repeatedly and forcefully, that the ultimate aim of the Ummat is not just to gain Pakistan but the whole of India. The Ummat draws from the history and imagery of the Arab conquests and makes no bones about the conquest of Anatolia and Constantinople. From the 8th century onwards, Muslims waged a relentless war on the great Byzantine city until it finally fell in the 15th century. The defensive war, which lasted for 750 years, could not save Constantinople. Muslim and Barelvi clerics argue that Pakistan would be one such staging post from where they would launch an unremitting struggle against infidels and finally beat their defenses no matter how much time it took. The Communist Party of India had a similar aim. Functioning nominally as an Indian party but in reality an extension of the Soviet Union Communist Party, through the British Communist Party under the Comintern umbrella, Comintern meaning Communist International, Comintern umbrella, it fancied its chances of bringing all of India under communist rule if India could be divided up into several small states. It developed a theory, articulated by its ideologue Gangadhar Adhikari, that argued that India was a conglomeration of nationalities, each of which deserved a separate nation-state. Communism follows the same binary logic that is followed by Islam and Christianity because it is an secular Abrahamic faith, essentially. Everyone thinks Karl Marx is their god. They worship him. The Western world and even the capitalists. Communism follows the same binary logic that is followed by Islam and Christianity, the Western world, and even the capitalists. The binary logic possesses two values, true and false. And unlike the Eastern logic systems, does not admit any grey areas or the multi-valued logic of intermediate stages between true or false. What a beautiful sentence. I love how great a literate and author Sanjay Dixit is. Listen to this sentence again. The binary logic possesses two values, true and false, and unlike Eastern logic systems, does not admit any grey areas or the multi-valued logic of intermediate stages between true and false, such as may be, or as in Hinduism and Buddhism, that of Sanjay, neither true nor false, and Shraddha, both true and false. Marx is its prophet and thus capital its Bible. Falsehood is to be destroyed by any means, including violence, so that the truth of the dictatorship of the proletariat can be established. In its worldview, the communists are always right and the capitalists are always wrong. From being a purely economic theory, it invaded the cultural field by morphing into cultural Marxism in the 1930s through the 1950s, when it further morphed into what is now known as postmodernism. Gramsci was the proponent of cultural Marxism and Jacques Derrida of postmodernism. The binary logic, the pursuit of power by all means, and the permissible use of violence are common to all three. Based on the communist and cultural Marxist binary, Gangadhar Adhikari defined nation-state narrowly in terms of shared ethnicities, languages, narrowly defined culture. The Hindu worldview, on the other hand, viewed Indian culture in terms of shared values of common concepts of cyclical time, multi-valued logic, and an epistemology that values direct experience over the dogmatic word, a vast cosmology, and death as a quest for liberation. I need to read this sentence again. The Hindu worldview, on the other hand, viewed Indian culture in terms of shared values of common concepts of cyclical time, multi-valued logic, an epistemology that values direct experience over the dogmatic word, a vast cosmology, and death as a quest for liberation. While all binary logic-based religions emphasize Islamic values or Christian values and even communist values, there is a lot of grimacing whenever India is defined in terms of its timeless culture that is based on relatively more scientific concepts of time, logic, inductive and empirical proof, infinite cosmos, and death that liberates and not binds one to permanent hell or heaven. Given this background, it is easy, in my opinion, to see why communists can make common cause with Islamists and evangelists against Hindus and other Indic religions like Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism, though the British did invest in Abrahamizing Sikhism with good success by patronizing the Tat Khalsa movement. Sandeep Balakrishna sums up some of the more nefarious activities of the communist deplorables in this memorable sentence. A sense of history informs us that it was this nihilistic, unqualified evil that operated behind the communists sabotaging the Indian freedom struggle and the unstinted benison they gave to partition. Of course, this climactic disgrace is apart from their incessant terrorism that includes the notorious Meerut conspiracy case, their active collaboration with the Razakars, their inveterate abuse of nationalists, patriots and icons like Subhash Bose, Sardar Patel, Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. K.B. Hegrewar. The position paper of Gangadhar Adhikari was brought out at about the same time as Dr. B.R. Ambedkar wrote his memorable paper on the idea of Pakistan. Sandeep Balakrishna best summarizes this paper again. Adhikari thesis was a position paper authored by Gangadhar Adhikari, who was briefly secretary of the undivided Communist Party of India. The position paper titled Pakistan and National Unity in reality was simply two things: an endorsement of the Muslim League's demand for Pakistan and the willingness of the CPI to fully back it. The CPI passed a resolution to the effect based on this paper. But the premise of G. Adhikari in the paper is what is interesting. 1. He holds that India was never a united country from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and that the idea of one nation, one people, one language never existed at any point in India's long history. 2. He characterizes the various regions of India as different individual nationalities. It is highly instructive to read the entire paper in full. This premise enables him, for example, to pen this: the Lingayat peasantry of Karnataka wakes up to anti-imperialist consciousness and develops a natural yearning for a free Karnataka. So it is with the Andhra Tamils and with the Sindhis, Punjabis and the Pathans. And soon enough, he writes this: as soon as we grasp that behind the demand for Pakistan is the justified desire of the people of Muslim nationalities such as Sindhis, Balochis, Punjabis or Punjabi Muslims, Pathans to build their free national life, there is a very simple solution to the communal problem in its new phase. And then decisively he writes: nationalities such as Sindhis, Balochis, Pathans and Punjabi Muslims have the right to secede if they so desire. Wherever people of Muslim faith living together in a territorial unit form a nationality, they certainly have the right to autonomous state existence. How different is this from saying Hindustan ke tukre tukre slogans? If anything, Adhikari's work provides the ideological basis and justification upon whose strength these martyrs enact their drama unimpeded on a sprawling campus created, sustained and subsidized by the Indian taxpayer, who is only recently becoming aware of the exact sort of danger this institution poses. The communist support to the Muslim League's demand for Pakistan, not to mention the orgy of bloodshed they unleashed in Telangana in 1946 in support of yet another vivisection of India, eventually tarnished their image nationwide. This Stalinist endorsement gave the Muslim League the intellectual heft it was desperately looking for. From this point onwards in 1942, the communists were as enthusiastic about the Pakistan project as Jinnah himself. And if you want to further learn about the Communist Party's role and the communists of the 40s in their support of Pakistan, you can read some of the books, some of the pages I've read out from Sitaram Goel's book, How I Became a Hindu. You can find in my channel in older videos and in the playlists.